Hey guys, so I'm going to be talking about The Flash Season 9, some news that we got regarding the premiere. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe for new, notifications on. Let's go into the news about The Flash Season 9, aka the final season. So, we learned about a week ago that Captain Boomerang will be returning to the Arrowverse, but it's the post-crisis version. And because if you remember, Daryl Harkness, the original Captain Boomerang, died in Arrow Season 5. He died on Lian Yu. This new Captain Boomerang, who is Owen Mercer, which I'm getting this from Deadline. We learned this originally from Canadagraphs, took step photos. You'll be seeing some of them in the background. The Deadline article is linked to the description down below. You can go through it down there for yourself. I'm going to take in parts of it, but again, you go to the article, you'll see what I'm talking about in this video. So it started off with saying exclusive. A key Arrowverse villain is sent to Central City. Richard Harmon, which is from the 100. If you recognize him, he's from the 100 CW show, or former. I don't know if it's still on, but it was CW show. Has been tapped to recur as Owen Mercer in the upcoming 9th season of CW's The Flash. Per the CW's description, a comic book favorite, a new post-crisis, Captain Boomerang has recently been released from Iron Heights with a chip on his shoulder, but the twinkle in his eye disguises a dangerous and violent threat to Central City. And they bring up Diggle Harkness / the original Captain Boomerang in the Arrowverse, but up in Arrow, that died in Arrow Season 5. But at the same time, this is also the first Arrowverse crossover villain for Arrow. I think it was an Arrow. But that was one of the first villains we've had for Arrowverse crossover. So I wonder if there'll be that kind of heartfelt, sentimental moment where we're bringing a villain that was the first Arrowverse crossover to the final Arrowverse season. I don't know. Or at least on Earth Prime. Now I brought up what Harmon is known for and other things about The Flash and that. But the thing that kind of hit me the most was that it says tap to recur as Owen Mercer, or whatever his name is in the comics. Which means that Barry doesn't take him down in 901. He appears in 901. Now, what we know from step photos, again, you can go to Canadagraphs' blog and see for yourself. I'm not going to put a ton of his photos in here. I'm putting like 2 or 3. I'm pretty sure they should be in here, but you'll see them throughout. What we saw from set photos was that Barry, there's Captain Boomerang, Owen Mercer is like making a machine that does something. Barry shows up, gets affected by it. Iris is there with a gun for whatever reason, even though Barry could probably stop it all by himself, but he won't. And Captain Boomerang obviously gets away if he was recurring, unless they put him away, but he gets out. Now, the thing to point out here is that the Captain Boomerang Owen Mercer that we have in step photos is heavily comic accurate. Now, in the comics, Captain Boomerang Owen Mercer was actually related to Diggle Harkness, Melanie Thawne, Bart Allen, who was his half-brother. That's because the comics is all kind of, it's like in 20 different directions. The show never took the route of a Thawne and Allen, whether it was, I think it was Barry Allen and a Thawne being together and having kids together. They never went down that route. So it's going to be different in the show. I wouldn't be surprised if it's on some level connected to Diggle Harkness. I don't know. We'll have to see what the show does. But its affiliation is with the Rogues. Wouldn't be surprised if that shows up. The Black Lantern Corps, Suicide Squad, Outsiders, and Secret Society in the comics. Now, the 2 that should stand out to you, the 3 actually, are the Suicide Squad, Rogues, and Black Lantern Corps. The Suicide Squad, we've already had in the Arrowverse, so I'm not going to redo that. The Rogues and the Black Lantern Corps, at least for Black Lantern Corps, we've already gotten Deathstorm in. And Eric Wall says several times that he wants to set up a Black Lantern Corps story arc. So if they were to do that, you know, in a way, this would kind of, if they're going to go down that route, who knows? Now, also in the comics, he was kind of like a hero and a villain. He was more like an anti-hero, anti-villain. Again, I'm getting this from like a DC wiki, which is pretty much accurate for comic accurate characters. Never like DC TV shows, but for comics, it is pretty accurate. Now, the Outsiders was a Nightwing group thing that happened in the comics, so that's not going to be accurate for the show. And it's just going to be really different from the comics in the show. However, I do not think that this guy will have any special abilities besides him being able to throw boomerangs that are different than everyone else. I mean, he's been known to throw boomerangs with sharp edges or electricity or bombs, or like we kind of saw him do in the original one, Diggle Harkness. But this one's going to have more tech to it, I think. I can't see this Captain Boomerang not having more tech to it with the day and age that we're at. I can't see that happening. Now, the thing that's going to be interesting is that in the Deadline article, it said that he got out of Iron Heights, which means that in this timeline, Barry stopped him before, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be in Iron Heights. So, I would assume so, unless it's like a whole case of this is some random person that did a crime. He wasn't Captain Boomerang yet. Barry just spun him in the jail, didn't stop, didn't ask him questions or anything. This is a random crime. Barry stopped. He broke out years later. Maybe he is related to Diggle Harkness, learned he died. Maybe connected that Barry and Oliver were connected or friends and wanted to go after Barry to get the Oliver, even though he's dead. I don't know. Could be a revenge plot. And here we are with Captain Boomerang the Machine in Central City. Pie trying to destroy it, and here comes Barry because he's affected by it. Now, I brought this up in my last video where I was talking about the potential of Barry dying in season 9. And I went on like a 10-minute rant with Iris being there. The thing that's pissing me off is that it's this recurring character. This is not a season 9 villain. Like, he's a villain, but he won't be a big villain. I can't see them dragging out Captain Boomerang for 13 episodes. I think what it's going to be is like the Royal Flush Gang, where something happens. It won't be like dragged out like the Royal Flush Gang wasn't. Because the Royal Flush Gang was not dragged out, right? One episode, done and doneer. Captain Boomerang in the comics is a hardcore Flash fan villain. And they're doing it comic accurate with the suit, which means they're most likely going to do comic accurate things with the character. Again, they'll take different routes, but the thing is that they will take heavily comic accurate information from the character to the show. It'll just be a little bit different. And again, this is a villain that in the comics, Barry fought for a very long time. Not as long as Spawn or Zoom or, you know, the future Flash, which is Savitar in the show, or Cicada, or really anyone else. But this is the guy that's part of the Rogue Gallery, which features Captain Cold, Heatwave, the Golden Glider, which we've seen several times on the show, Mirror Master, who's dead now, so that wouldn't work. We know it's that because Ava killed him. Trickster, Pied Piper, who would not be a part of that because he's a good guy now. We learned from season 6. Top, we haven't seen, and God, we know we saw in season 8. So if she were to break out, Rogue's Gallery should be a part of that. Weather Wizard, isn't he dead? I don't remember. It's been a while. But if this is the start of that, I mean, you could easily get a new Captain Cold, a new Heatwave, Golden Glider, probably just bring the actress back. If you can't, bring in a new one. Trickster, I don't know. Weather Wizard, I don't know if he's dead. I don't remember. Pied Piper would not be a part. Like I said already, he's good now. Top could easily be that way. And Captain Boomerang, which again, we're already getting in 901. They could very well be setting up a Rogues Gallery story arc. Which is kind of worrying, because where would that fit into the season? Because it can't be a 2-episode thing. Like, this would be a story arc. Like 4 or 5 episodes, right? I would prefer if this was a 4 or 5 part crossover event, because with this many villains, I am curious if Barry would need help to stop them all, right? I mean, yes, you have an overpowered Barry, and he should stay overpowered season 9. And I'm not saying let's bring in Kara and Oliver as a Spectre or anything like that. You can bring in a few people, right? Not overly powered people. You can bring in like Dig or something like that. Or Ryan Wilder if you really wanted to as Batwoman. Or Mia. But, you know, with these villains, it won't be that simple for Barry to just go into Flash time. It won't. You may think it would be. But he can't do what he did to the Royal Flush Gang. In the comics, the Rogues Gallery is the most dangerous group of criminals Barry's ever fought in the comics. And they've nearly killed him several times in the comics. Because they always, not outsmart him, but outplay him on his power level. Again, we have a Barry in the show that is heavily overpowered due to season 8 and him leveling up. Yeah, I know we're sick of hearing it, but it's true. So the matter of the fact is that we could see Barry stopping the Royal Flush or the Rogues Gallery if they are doing that in one episode. The thing is, it would just not add up with what they want to do or what I would expect them to do with the Rogues Gallery, which is to just stop in one episode. I'm not saying for writing purposes, let's drag it out. I don't think they would do that. I don't think Eric Wallace would do that. He's not that stupid to do that in the final season. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Rogues Gallery happened in episode, like the first 5 episodes, right? 902, maybe we get a new Golden Glider, or Top breaks out of prison, or new Captain Cold, Heatwave, you know, all these new people post-crisis in different worlds that end up on that Earth just stayed there for a while. Maybe Captain Boomerang is already part of the Rogues Gallery, and they're just been planning it for years to get after the Flash. I am curious if that's what this is all going to be set up. It's another planned attack. And I wonder if that will be the case, and I would very much so love it if it was, because it would just fit the Rogues so well for the show, and also be pretty cool for the first appearance. Now, we've gotten members of the Rogues in the show, right? We've gotten Captain Cold, Heatwave, Fighting Barry 2-on-1. We've gotten Golden Glider, Mirror Master, Top, Pipe Piper, and Captain Boomerang, and Weather Wizard. So we've gotten all these villains from the Flash before. But the thing is that we have never, ever gotten a full-on Rogues Gallery that is A, heavily comic accurate, and B, actually all of them at once fighting Bear. We've never gotten that. Have they all been somewhat in the same area? Yes. If you remember season 1, when they were trying to transport, when they were trying to transport the villains, like Trickster wasn't on there. I know Golden Glider and Captain Cold were trying to help move them. Or no, Heatwave. Was it Captain Cold and Heatwave or just Captain Cold? I don't remember, but there's so many villains that it wasn't a full-on fight. What this would be if they're doing the legitimate comic-accurate Rogues Gallery, we would see Captain Cold, Heatwave, Golden Glider, Weather Wizard if he's alive, Trickster, Pipe Piper, Top, and Captain Boomerang. Well, not Pipe Piper. Unless things change, unless Barry pisses him off again, who knows? You know, they could all return, come back, and, you know, go after Barry. I would not be surprised if that's what Barry did. Or what they're all doing, really, to go after Barry. But it is going to be heavily interesting to see where this ends up, because I think it'd fit the final season so damn well if he had a Rogues Gallery story arc. Is this something that I've been wanting? No. I would prefer it if this was Red Death, or they co-op Blue, or something that we've all been asking for. But the thing is that the Rogues Gallery is such a Flash thing that the more and more I think about it, the more and more I want it. Right? It's like the Destro Mark. We didn't know we were getting that. They kept that under wraps like crazy. And I mean, it was pretty damn cool to see nonetheless. That being said, it was something I didn't know I wanted from the show, but we got it, and I kind of enjoyed it. Not saying I didn't enjoy it at all. There were very cool moments like Barry riding the lightning in that, and this one was a very good villain for the season 8. We can't really use him again, though. It's just more powerful, but my point is that if they wanted to bring in more Flash comic-y villains to wrap the show, the Rose Gallery is the perfect way to do that. I just hope we don't get away from the fact that we have three storylines that need to be wrapped up that are connected to Barry alone. We're not talking about Killer Frost here, or wherever the hell she is now. We're talking about the Spectre returning and that new crisis that's supposed to happen in 2049 that Barry's there to help with. And Kara and everyone else. And Clark from Earth Prime. He's up there too, remember? We have another one where Butterwork escaped in present day on Earth Prime. And we have the new Negative Speed-Force Avatar. So unless Eric Wallace's plan is to... Maybe Butterwork will be part of the Rose Gallery. I don't know how that'd work, but that'd finish up the Bloodwork storyline, wouldn't it? Connecting to the Rose Gallery? That'd be pretty cool. Like, Captain Boomerang, Bloodwork, new Captain Cold, Top, Trickster, Heatwave, Golden Glider. Wouldn't that be cool to see them all at once? I don't know. I kind of want that now. It'd be such a good way to wrap up Bloodwork, too. Just have them, like, work with a ton of villains. You know, maybe they're all being controlled by Bloodwork. And he's setting all this up and Bloodwork's the main villain. Like Thawne was in Armageddon. With Despero being the pawn. I wouldn't mind that, honestly. But then again, we still have that next Speed-Force Avatar, which is most likely Cobalt Blue. I can't see it not being Cobalt Blue. And we have the Oliver Spectre returning, saying there's a new crisis coming that's going to be more dangerous than anything we've ever faced before. Like, they could easily finish up the Oliver thing in the comics, in Arrowverse Comic Canics? Arrowverse Canon Comics. They could wrap all that up, sure. But the thing is that when they say, oh, it'll be continuing in Flash Season 9, do it. They said that. It'll be continuing in Flash Season 9, do it. I know they didn't know by the final season, but they need to wrap it up, right? They can't leave everyone hanging because not everyone read the comics. They didn't. I mean, probably because a lot of people didn't know it was Arrowverse canon. And maybe that's why they won't bring in Bloodwork, because how could you explain that he escaped? They could easily do a scene with Cisco. That could be how we get him back in the final season. Just that one scene with Cisco and Tanya in Iron Heights and Bloodwork escaping, right? They could easily do that. The thing is that however it works out, Bloodwork and the new next Speed-Force Avatar are the two top storylines that need to be wrapped up this season. Because they said they would be. So now we have three villains, pretty much. Captain Boomerang, Bloodwork, Captain Boomerang is recurring, which is scary. Bloodwork, and scary not in a good way, by the way. Bloodwork and the new Negative Speed-Force Avatar. Those are three villains in a 13-episode season. In the final season. So we don't have time for cliffhangers. We don't have time for 10 different story arcs. This season will be, I think, very well compact. If there are no fillers. What I think Eric Wallace will do is have like one episode in between the graphic novels, whether it's 3 or, God forgive me, 4. I don't think you can do 4. 4 is going to be way too much, but 3 graphic novels, like one's like really short, the other 2 are kind of long to fill out the season, with no really like major fillers. Have one filler, quote-unquote filler, episode in between the graphic novels You can get through an episode through that. You know, I think that'd work. In the episodes, focus on the side characters. Get them the hell off the show and focus on Barry. That is fine. I will be okay with that. The first graphic novel can be about Captain Boomerang. You can wrap him up in the filler if you really want to. But we need Blood Work and we need the new Next People's Avatar to be wrapped up. For me personally, if they are doing a Rogues Gallery, I would not want this to be the last graphic novel of the show. What I want the last graphic novel of the show to be is that Negative People's Avatar. The show needs to end with a speedster villain. I don't care if it's Tom Cavanaugh returning as Reverse Flash. It needs to be a speedster villain. That is what we need in the final season of The Flash. In the final, 4 or 5 episodes, the final villain needs to be a speedster. It would not end well if it didn't. They could do the Rogues Gallery, it'd be cool. But to end the show on that, it would not sit with me at all. I think the best way to end season 9, to end the series, with the last 2 episodes, is with a speedster villain. You bring back Wally, you bring back Fast Track, get her speed back somehow. You bring in Bart, XS. We just Speed Force again. Just now the Force is just Speed Force. And there you go. You know, it's newspaper for the Avatar. You know what you can get. Bring them all back. There you go. You know, that's a good way to end the series right there. Ghost Gallery would be like a beginning or middle to end story arc. Considering that Captain Boomerang will be recurring, I don't think it's a matter of, let's just throw it out, and focus on the middle of the season or the end. No. If he's recurring, he's going to be done this season. Obviously, he won't be out, in however long. But, yeah, who knows? So, thank you guys for watching the video. Have a good day. Have a good night. Stay safe. See you in the next video. Bye, guys.